Call this Charter Revision Commission special public hearing to order. At this time, if you're able and willing, could you please stand for the Pledge of Allegiance? Pledge of Allegiance to the flag of the United States of America, and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you. Roll call of members of the Charter Commission. Start on my left, who works this way. Introduce yourself, please.
Brittany Mora.
Robert Smith.
Linda Sherman.
Paul Sweet. Mario Ariana.
Virginia Town.
Trave Harmon. Okay. It's good to see the people here that are here. This public hearing, there is an agenda, and there's a couple things that stick out. I think that'll be predominantly what we're going to talk about tonight. One is discussion of proposed items of change that are offered by the Board of Selectmen, and secondly, discussion of other items proposed for changes to the current town charter. So, as a matter of opening statement, whether you've got something in your mind you want to add to the charter, something you want to take away, something you want to change, something you might want to abolish, that's everybody's entitled to their opinion and their thoughts, and this commission wants to hear what people have to say, and let them do the talking, let folks that come here for the hearing do the talking. We'll take good notes, and after this meeting, immediately following this meeting, there's a special Charter Revision Commission meeting to talk about some of the things that were discussed in this public hearing. So it could be a long night or it could be a short night. There's not a lot of folks here. But this is the beginning. We have a lot of documents up here, a lot of dates, and a lot of things that being produced and presented to us. So the calendar is very short between now and November's ballot. So we're going to be sensitive to that. But we want to hear what anyone has to say about any subject matter concerning the charter. So I noticed our first selectman's here, and I'm not going to put him on the spot, but we do have a list of some things that were brought to our attention, and I appreciate them, Mr. First Selectman, that some of these things have been talked about for a while. We both know this, and I'd just like to hear how you like to approach it, you know.
Thank you, Mr. Chair and members of the committee. You have been presented a charter revision possibilities, a list of things that we were considering. This is compiled both from selectmen and also from comments that were made from our employees and also from the public. So if you want, I will go through this as you see them on the paper. First one was discussion for a town administrator or a town manager. And so that was brought forth for discussion, and there's some more work to be done on what that really is, and give definition to it as well as the job function, and also it would be appropriate then to have an idea of how much it would cost for those positions. The next one up is the Board of Police Commissioners, who want to add a provision in there that allows for police department to add funding for their own attorney. There is review of this already. We went back with the attorney themselves. That is in the charter as the current chosen town attorneys from the town of Plainfield. But again, if you wanted to talk about that for discussion, that's fine. Cleaning up and deleting some of the items. If you take a look at your charter, you'll see section 71B, civil preparedness. We really haven't had that function for a long time. This is a minor item for cleanup. It says as a suggestion. You also have there was a question concerning the cleaning up of the appointment of the town treasurer / financial officer. I think it needs to be clarified because it's a little rough the way it's written. So they were asking if that can be cleared up. Any request for additional funding over $100,000 requires a town-wide referendum. We've been through this a couple times already with previous referendums charter revisions. If you take a look at your charter, you'll take a look at the numbers talking about under section 2425. There's numbers in there that talk about your request for anything that's not in your budget that you would like to have allocated via the process, and it's a $50,000. Anything above that $50,000 threshold means that you have to go to at least a town meeting. And then anything above $100,000, not only to the town meeting, but also adjourned to a referendum. And again, those numbers are in there since 1984, so they really haven't been modified. And the same thing would hold true to, I think that further down in there's a section, the very last thing that's listed on your paperwork, update the grant match, because there's a section 25D. Anything that is a grant match of $10,000 or more requires you to go to a town meeting. I will clarify that one. You try to find a grant today with a match to it that's 10,000. Good luck. Everything's over that. Everything. So that's one of the other possibilities. Someone just want to be sure that they are promoting the audits. I don't know how we'd be able to do that with the town charter to promote our audits more than what you do now, but that was one of the questions that came out. And I guess these are some generic comments talking about reimbursement policy, but we have a policy, not directly in the town charter. And then real estate sales should be by referendum. I think it says not only that, but also leases, sales and leases. So those things, I think they're just looking to make sure that that was worded properly, correct. What was there? Pretty much. Oh, one other one I thought was important was something that was brought up by one of our town employees. Possibility of changing for term lengths from Board of Finance and Board of Education down to 4-year terms. In research by the towns that do this, it seems to make sense because you're looking at someone on a board or committee for 6 years. That first year, everybody knows that first year you're kind of quiet, you don't say much. Second year, you're starting to jump in and have more input. By the third and fourth year, you're going strong. And then it starts to wane out. There's people that just don't take as much action anymore, and they start to get tired, or they actually resign from the board. So I think 4 years might be an appropriate request. So those are the things that were talked about. Any questions?
Yeah, Kevin, I appreciate your presentation, and I recognize the numbers. They've been here a long time, and I work with the same numbers. So, having said that, I would like at another time to talk to you, and this is the board, I would make a call, but just talk to you and see how that impacts day-to-day operation, the town operation as it currently exists.
Right.
I recognize that the numbers are low, and when people go to change numbers sometime, they get, how would you say, they don't want to see numbers go up.
Right.
They don't know why they have to go up. So the 1984 argument could be a good argument, okay? It's a long time ago. It's the original charter that was put into play. Mm-hmm. And we know today that it's difficult. But I think it would be good for all of us, the town, government, and the Board of Finance, to have a little discussion about this and see what would work. You know, maybe there's some places that we can meet halfway or
I would also invite the finance director too, because she sees the value of the numbers, and that might be easier to explain.
Right, that's fine. That's fine. Anybody got anything to say about this at this point?
No. First, like just real quick, you talked about the numbers, and obviously that they're from the 80s or early 80s. I think my question would be towns that are similar size. Mm-hmm. What numbers do they use? And are they anywhere near to what we use now? I know not all towns are chartered towns, but they have to have a number that is pretty much associated with them. So I'm curious to see what those numbers are.
That's a great question. By the way, the board member has things like that if they want to ask. I can actually go to CCM and get the comparative numbers for towns that have similar numbers for volume of residents, and then look at their charters and see how they are written out.
I have. Thanks. You know, there's kind of a pattern setting up here in a lot of these small towns on the east side of the state, where you can come in one day and find your assessor's going to resign and go to another town, and they're most likely going to make more money. Mm-hmm. And what happens is the town that loses the assessor is going to pay more money to get an assessor, and that revolving door has hurt people. It's hurt towns. You know, we invest in our employees, but we have to pay them. We have to pay them if they're in leadership positions. They're held responsible. If the world's changed, and you know, not everybody has that. They're hard to find assessors. Someone with experience. I'm just using that for example, but you can see this going on, not only in government, but in education. Revolving door, people are moving too much, and a lot of times it has to do with the pay and benefit package. And, so we'll take a look at this, okay, and see if we can't come to agreement on something. But this travel reimbursement policy, you have one in place now?
I'll verify that for you. If I find one, I'll bring it to you next meeting. Well, actually, I'll send you via email.
Anyone else got anything to say based on what Kevin has presented tonight?
Only thing I see is that anything over 250,000, could you explain that?
This is a suggestion that I think someone put up there. Anything over 250, automatically should trigger a referendum.
Yeah, but I don't see that.
Yeah, I'll go back in my notes. I'll definitely go back in my notes and see who said that. But I think that really does tie into the other things we just talked about earlier. If you're looking to raise some of those numbers within the chart for what is a non-budgeted expenditure and that $50,000 to $100,000 range, again, it might have been one of those things that tied into that. But I'll check.
Anybody, I want to put this up here, not put anybody on the spot. Obviously, town administrator has been talked about a lot in the last 6 months, and there's opinion on both sides. As you know, we will not have the time. I mean, we will not have the time to put this on a ballot in this fall. It's just not going to work. However, there's been some discussion, and I think we should look at it real closely. The fact of increasing the board of selectmen from 3 to 5. I think that might be a stop toward a change, maybe a positive change for administrator or a town manager. I just think that representation, things have just changed in Plainfield over the last 50 years. And, having a little more representation, I don't know how you define it. We have 4 distinct villages, but it's one town. It's one town. And, these selectmen should be available, to bring back ideas, to come back, talk to the first selectman about things that are going on in a certain part of town, bring the message back, so to speak. But again, I don't want to push it just to make ourselves feel good. That's not what I'm looking for. I'm looking for maybe some more help, on this board. And maybe it could be, in a helpful way, to take the burden off of just one person. But it would be a start. Town, 15,000 people, 42 square miles, 120 miles of road, 140 miles of road. It's a big town, and with small representation of selectmen. So something I would like to talk about down the road as we move along.
Okay, this is the place for the open discussion, so I appreciate that.
Anything else? Thank you for that presentation, and thank you for mailing it out ahead of time, and I recognize a lot of it, and I'm sure you all do also. Second thing on this agenda tonight was the idea of proposed changes for the current town charter. Is there anyone here tonight that has something on their mind that they're looking to propose from the public here that's attendance tonight?
I'm speaking about the Ethics Commission, local Ethics Commission, 7-1-G. In a small town, I believe it's not appropriate to have it, and I'd like to see it disbanded. It's has political bias, has personal bias. I personally know 3 people. I talk to them on a regular on the commission. It's a small town. I can't see. And if we went with the state ethics commission, I believe the penalties are stiffer. And somebody's going to think before they go before the ethics at the state level. Here, I sat and videoed 4 ethics complaints. None of them went anywhere. They were all dismissed, but it seemed political, 3 of them. The other one was just misunderstood, I think, the last one I was at. So that's what I'd like to see on that. I did have one more note on that. In 2020, I brought this up, in 2020 charter revision. The chair at that time had a friend on the Ethics Commission, the secretary on the Ethics Commission, so it went nowhere. So this is what I mean about bias.
What's the proposal again?
To get rid of the Ethics Commission.
I heard that,
No.
second. No, you're still talking about the
Ethics.
Okay.
Yeah, I was just saying, in 2020 charter revision, I brought this topic up, disband the Ethics Commission. And the chair of the charter revision had a friend on the Ethics Commission, so it went nowhere. It just went off the table. And the other thing, I know you mentioned about town manager now at this time, but I would still like to see research done on that, and specifically the different forms of government, or selectman, town manager, administrator, mayoral, representative, town meeting, and bring, if the people see something might be better. So I'd like to see that research done anyway, even if we don't get it on November ballot. If the research is going to help the next one. Thank you.
So, just a quick question for you.
Yep.
So you talked about the Ethics Commission. What, just because obviously I know what we have here in the charter, you're talking about going with the state? So the state will just come in and be our Ethics Commission for the town?
Well, we'd have to work that out. I don't know how you do that, but yeah.
Well, I was just wondering, that's why I was just...
Yeah, we didn't have one.
I didn't know that the state would actually have that to bring in, so I just...
If you,
And then, you're bringing a complaint to the state. Whoever's sitting on that commission doesn't know you, doesn't know that,
Yeah, no, I understand. I just didn't know that they would have a branch that would just say, come in and actually take over for that aspect of it. And my other thing is, you talked about the town manager and the town administrator. I think it's important to actually understand the differences of all those.
Exactly, that's what I'm
Because
saying.
we do talk a lot about it, and I'll be honest with you, I thought they were pretty much kind of the same until you actually start doing a lot of research on it. I think it's important to understand the differences for everybody, even here, to understand the differences of the administrator and the manager.
When I first got elected in 19, we went to the CCM conference, and I went to one of their classes, and I learned about the representative town meeting. Do you know what that is? There's only 2 around here, Waterford, Groton. It's different, but, these things, I don't particularly care for that form of government as much, because it takes more of the vote away from the people. You don't vote on your budget like we did yesterday, so I don't really care for that. I'm not for taking anything away from the people. The more votes the people have, the better. So, but I'd appreciate if you could look into those.
the legislative body is the town meeting, and it will always be the legislative body. I don't see the town meeting ever being abolished here in Plainfield. I don't think it's necessary, no matter what we do. There's still going to be, at the end of the day, people are going to say. But we can put some guidelines into play. To remember, that people do get elected to make decisions, okay? We live and die by those things. However, the town meeting is still the legislative body. I personally, I would never entertain the fact to the issue to get rid of the legislative body, the town meeting, because at the end of the day, the town's going to have a say. Whether they show up or not, that's not up to me. They have to care enough to show up.
They should have the right. Exactly.
I want to touch on one thing, guys, because I'm the oldest guy up here. In 1989, when I first went into office, there were ballot questions. One of the ballot questions was, should the town have an ethics commission? And overwhelmingly, they voted for an ethics commission. So that was a charter change that went into play. And I can tell you, I know where you're coming from, because if you're in public life, you do business with the town, whatever it might be, you're at the mercy, okay? I mean, if you're playing it right, you're fine. But how many people pick up the code of ethics and take an actual look at it, okay? I've been there. I've been there, okay? I went there 2 or 3 times. I don't know. I never went to jail. I never got indicted. never stood, okay? It didn't stand just like you, it didn't stand, right? But the fact of the matter is, we still had an obligation to do this because the people voted for it. So the only way you would ever abolish it is to have to get abolished by vote and take it out.
Well, that's why we're doing Trave.
And I can tell you, unfortunately, that it's just a historical fact is sometimes used as a tool of retribution, and that's unfortunate. Okay, you need to be real careful. I've always tread myself lightly on this because you can step on people's rights. You can do a lot of ugly things and get yourself held responsible where the panel gets sued and liability and rights are violated. And so it's a legal document, and it's meant to be followed, and if you follow the process, it works. But again, unfortunately, I don't mind talking about this, okay? I'm opinion, I don't mind all of us having a conversation about this. You got to replace it with something. There's got to be something. It can't just be nothing.
Right.
Well, whether it's a state or we take this current one and we work it over so it's a little bit more user friendly, and you don't need a Philadelphia lawyer to interpret what it says. That's my.
I have two questions now. You just mentioned you've been before this ethics commission, and you were okay.
Yeah.
There's a lot. Did you know anybody, Harmon?
Well, sure, we appointed him. We appointed him. Board of Selectmen appointed him.
Right.
But that's the appointing authority.
I know, but you see what I mean about personal bias?
We searched high and low for 3 qualified people.
It's hard.
We don't go.
It's hard. And then the other thing I wanted to say before I forget is right now they're working on redoing the code of ethics. Did you know that? Have you read the draft?
I personally read the minutes and I cringed.
I read the draft.
I'm just being honest.
I did too.
Honest.
I did too.
You know what we did after that? We went out and found 5 clergymen, and we appointed 5 members of the clergy to be the ethics commission. So now, I'm not saying they're better.
I feel a little better.
I'm not saying they're any better than anybody else.
No, but
people have a tendency to look at them as being members of the clergy, not so much politicians.
But they're going to be honest.
Okay, that's how we got around it and put it into the hands of God, I guess. Okay, I don't want to say God. I should say people that.
Actually, the other thing I don't like about the ethics commission is there are political parties on it. We know right now there's 3 Democrats, 2 Republicans. You go to the state, you don't know what they are. You don't know. It's not political at that point. They don't know what you want. Just think about it. Talk about it. Thank you.
I got it. Thank you. Anyone else tonight have anything they can speak about? Yes, ma'am.
Good evening. My name is Carol Thompson. I live in Central Village, and I am currently, I think I am the newest member of the Ethics Commission. And I would like to say a few words in defense of the Ethics Commission. I think it is important to have something like that in any town of any size. I think going to the state, I don't even know if it's possible, and I've been very deeply involved in reading the state code recently, the state model code, and our code, comparing the provisions of the 3 different codes. And I didn't see anything that would allow us to go there. That's not saying it doesn't exist, I just haven't seen it. But I would have a problem with going to the state simply because they have their own state issues to deal with state level officials who may have been accused of doing something or are defending themselves or whatever. And how long would the town of Plainfield have to wait to get any sort of action on a complaint if it had to go to the state commission? I think that might be an undue length of time to wait for someone to either prove their complaint if it's legitimate, or defend themselves and be exonerated of the complaint. I think it's a lot easier and quicker if we have a town commission. And yes, there's been some talk among the commission members about making some changes to the code. Nothing's been brought to the selectmen yet, but there are some changes about changing some things in the code. As I mentioned, I've recently done a comparison of our code to the state model code, which is not a binding thing, it's just a vehicle for towns like Plainfield to work off of, to create their own code. But there's a lot of things that could be possibly improved in our code, based on the state model code. And one of the things I noticed is that the Plainfield code doesn't include a code of conduct specifically for the ethics members. And that's one thing, if it were up to me, I think we should definitely have. It's just a basic list of norms and practices that someone on the Ethics Commission needs to abide by. And one of those things is that you don't act with favoritism. And you don't act based on whether you know someone personally. And so that might at least put a little more trust in the Ethics Commission to know that they are in fact bound by a certain code of conduct. So I am going to be talking at the next meeting of the Ethics Commission regarding my research in this regard, and talking about the possibility of maybe requesting some changes to the code to make it better, stronger, more fair, and something that the public can trust in. But I would look at the statement of purpose of the town code, which talks about the importance of maintaining trust in government and trust in our officials. And I think the Ethics Commission really has a place in doing that, and I think it's an important place. I would hate to see it abolished, not just because I'm the newest member. So, and if you have any questions for
I
me.
appreciate your time with what you had to share with us, and we'll take it into consideration as we look at it, okay?
Thank you very much.
You bet. Trave?
Oh, yeah. So a couple months ago, I was doing research on ethics, and one of the things is the state does require a town to have at least some commission available. And they do have severe guardrails at the state level. And ethics complaints, even if you file it to the state, I'll have to pull it up because I did look it up, will then refer it to the town. If it's not referred to the town, then it goes to the region. So, and then it would be, Wyndham County, I can't remember what it was called. But if you don't have one in the town, they're not going to go to the state. They're going to refer right back down to you and figure out who's the next level up from government. But it's not going to be from top down. It's not going to be, you can't go from like the bottom of the pyramid to the top. You have to go just one step up. And there was a laundry list of those in there. So it can be done. But the problem though is that if anything occurs, you go right back to the square one. And if we're not handling it, the local regional council, I can't remember what it was called, will take it.
Our government office?
No, I think it was something else. But that being said, as much as we want to go to state, they've made it, and they have a history of people referring it, and then they just send it right back down here.
Okay. Anyone else that we recognize? And again, I just want to remind everyone, we're taking information in here. We're not making decisions tonight. We've got to digest things that are being said, and whether or not we're going to remember. And when it's all said and done, all of us have to have an understanding and an agreement as we send this stuff forward to the Board of Selectmen. So if you'd like to send the Board of Selectmen a document with something that's really something you can support. And so if we're going to make decisions as a board down here, we'll do our own, we'll make our own tough decisions and move what we think is supported in the town and make it better forward. Yes, ma'am.
So I would like to chime in on the Ethics Commission. Naomi Smith, 96 Community Avenue. I agree and I disagree on everybody's opinions so far. I am in support of having an ethics commission in the town. I think one of the things we're going to run into from speaking, actually calling the state ethics commission, having a conversation with the gentleman there, is the bureaucracy. They have a long waiting list of ethics complaints on their desks. So they do, as Trave said, prefer that towns have their own ethics commissions. And with term limits on our boards, somebody could file an ethics complaint against a board member, and they may not be seen on a state level for 3 to 4 years, and that person's long gone from serving if their term limit has run up and they haven't been voted back in. However, there are models of other towns. I can get them and bring them for one of the upcoming meetings, where it is not just residents that serve on their ethics commissions. They actually will send out a notice, like in a turnpike flyer or a newspaper, and ask for residents who are business people, maybe lawyers, if they're interested in volunteering on other towns' ethics commissions. That is frequently an option for towns. Like right now, I currently serve on a board in the town of Allentown. There are requirements, there's things that have to be put in place for that, so that would be something we'd have to look at, but that is an option, is maybe having, not the whole board out of towners, but maybe a couple that come in and they don't know anybody, they're non-biased. Because I do think our ethics needs to have some checks and balances. The other thing is that I would like to see actually not just an ethics commission. I would like to see the erection of a board that actually handles discriminatory practices in our town. They are different. There are multiple towns that have enacted this. They don't just have ethics, they have discriminatory boards, because not everything that is discriminatory is necessarily an ethics violation, and not necessarily everything that's an ethics violation is not necessarily borderline discrimination or is discriminatory. So that might be something that would be new, even if we don't get it this time, at least start the conversation. I definitely support a 5-member board of selectmen. I have for many, many years. This isn't my first time getting a podium at a charter revision committee and discussing this. I think we need more representation on the board. We're constantly running into a 2-to-1. And even if you have a 3 majority against a 2, sometimes more voices can persuade people who are stuck in a certain opinion. That's just my opinion. So I would definitely like that. I do not want to see a town manager. I am more for a town administrator. And I do not want to see our legislative body ever removed from this town. So I fully support keeping them instead. The other thing that I think needs to be addressed is our capital improvement budget and how it's actually being voted on and working with our operating budget. Because I think that there's some discrepancies or just even a cleanup of the language in our charter. It's not actually appropriate the way I think we're doing it. So that needs some review. And that's it. Thank you.
Thank you. Well, okay, anyone else have something they want to talk about tonight?
Just one thing Naomi brought up, and I believe the last time she brought it up, I said the same thing. A 5-member board of selectmen, a minority representation is 1. So you can have...
That's incorrect. It's 3-to-2, that's statutory.
Look up in the book.
I don't know how to look, statutory. 3-to-2, if it's a 5-member board. I'll bring it to you.
Okay. Anybody else? Virginia?
Yes, Mr. Sweet, thank you. Can you, so the question about strengthening the travel reimbursement policy, I would question why that would have to be in the charter. I would think that's more of an operational finance department and board of finance issue with procedure, not necessarily charter revision.
I agree. That seems to me to be handled right in-house by administrative people here, that whatever you put into play, as long as you pass it through the Board of Selectmen as a policy, and everybody gets it, everybody knows it. That's how I see it, and that should be a good policy, it should be limited, we shouldn't be having, well, again, I won't go through my opinion, but we just need to have prudent, verifiable policy for all employees. Yes?
Back to this. Chapter 3, elections and officers. 3.3, minority representation.
Chapter 3 what?
Page 6. 3.3. Section 3.3, minority representation. Flip to page 7. Membership 5, maximum from one party, 4. Thank you. You have to change that too if you want it.
Well, bringing the state statute and correct you on that.
You would,
We have a charter for a
You
reason.
always-
It
You can't
overrides.
override state statute with that.
Just
It's under
did.
election enforcement.
you will always have a majority minority, you know.
We,
You're not going to avoid it.
we have 2 boards. We have 2 boards with a 4-to-1. Police Commission is one, Planning and Zoning is another. There's 4 Republicans, 1 Democrat. This minority
I've seen it the
representation
other
right
way,
there.
too.
So if you have a Board of Selectmen and you go by this, it can be 4-to-1. Unless you change that. So, look to change that. I don't care, you know.
Okay.
I brought this up last time. That's the way it is.
Mr. Sweet, I have an opportunity to just answer. Even if it is 4-1, what difference does that make? You're not going to say that all 4 Democrats or all 4 Republicans are always going to agree on the same thing.
No, I'm not saying that.
Okay.
You kind of said that at the
No, I'm saying
podium,
that
so.
we'd like to have more voices than just 3. Because 3, we've seen what are.
Well, you said, yeah, 2-to-1. 2-to-1, right.
That's what we've been seeing.
So you could be, so that's what I'm saying. It could be 4-to-1. That's all I'm
The
saying.
point you made,
For like-minded people against 1.
That's
So,
anyone on board have anything as far as this hearing goes?
Oh, I got one. I'm just like a public commissioner.
Okay, well,
Declarations.
matter.
something for the public hearing, or something for the board?
All the above.
Go ahead.
Okay, so, the esteemed colleague here, she's right. It is, the travel reimbursement per diem policy is low risk and it's policy. It doesn't need to be a part of the charter. That, I have no problem with that. I've actually done analysis of all 10, there've actually been 9, now they're down to 8 of different policies. As for the town administrator, that is a major concern and is actually considered the highest risk. It allows a tremendous amount of controversy. There have been towns that have had some issues, even 21, 2024, 2020. I mean, just a tremendous amount. I agree with changing to solve that. Change it to a 5-person board of selectmen. I was unconcerned either way, but evidence has shown otherwise. The spending stuff, I actually have a tremendous amount of detail on that as well, and how it was adopted, and we are running off 1983 documentation. That's how old this is, so I have info on that, but truthfully, changing the term lengths, real estate, changing into the audits are all low risk. I have 0 challenge on those I have no issue. Update the grant match, anything over 250. Additional funding, which is actually tied into those, and cleaning up and deleting some things are all medium. But here's the catch: we actually did research on civil preparedness. That's actually required by the state. Now, the thing is that you cannot just say the board exists. You actually have to have it meet within a calendar year. To keep it clean, you have it meet twice a year. As much as, there's very little civil preparedness is needed going on, but what happens is that you then meet Connecticut required guidelines. And the thing is that it's not just about war, it's about anything. And so Hurricane Sandy, 15 other things have happened. And the coordination between the police, the fire, the EMS and stuff like that, at least to review the policies at the most minimal, just to have them show up and say, is this good? Everyone sits around, drinks some water, and then says, hey, it's all good, thumbs up, and then it's approved. That's required by law, because If the state comes in, they're going, and something happens locally, they're gonna start making a bunch of phone calls. We need to know who to call. And that is required. So, but truthfully, 66% of these requests I have zero problem with. Little words here and there, just the high-risk ones that I'm only concerned with, such as appointment of town treasurer, financial officer, town manager, and that's it. I mean, everything else I'm not really having a problem. A few modifications here or there, but no offense, Mr. Sweet. I think the timeline, even though it is accelerated, very doable. Just concentrate on the problems. The smaller stuff can be taken care of and cleaned up. That's how I look at it.
Thank you. Okay, so now on, you guys all call me Paul, right?
Sure.
You don't have to, all right? I'm all right with that, guys, okay? And, okay, there's a couple things here that I presented with you, okay? And, if there's nothing more from the audience, then, can we get a motion to close this public hearing? Someone? A second on it? Second, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? All right, so it's a special public hearing on, charter revision is closed. Second item we have to discuss tonight is, again, we have to call this agenda. It's here. I didn't write this agenda, so we'll call this Charter Revision Commission Special Commission meeting agenda to get to order. First roll call for this meeting. Starting to my left to the right. Just introduce yourself.
Courtney Morrow.
Robert Smith?
Paul Sweet.
Mario Arriaga.
Virginia Allen.
Trave Harmon.
Okay, there's a second item of business here to approve the minutes of May 15th, 2026 meeting. I will abstain from that. I wasn't here, but who was ever here? If you all looked over those minutes, I know I asked 2 or 3 of you. Any issues? Is there a motion to approve those minutes? May 13th. Just okay. Your motion to approve minutes?
I'll make that motion.
Motion made, is there a second? Second, any discussion? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Carries. There's something else I want to, in a special meeting, I can't add it. Okay. Discussion of proposed items of change offered by the Board of Selectmen. I think Trav pretty much put it out there. There's not a lot of, what's dominated today is obviously this code of ethics and some town meeting, town manager administrative discussion. I think we need to really look at numbers, okay? It doesn't have to be tonight, but we need to look at numbers, threshold numbers before referendum or town meetings. I'm more of a conservative person, but having a referendum for something maybe that doesn't make a lot of sense, you know, it's a bad matter of running a town business every day. We should at least look at it. We should look at the numbers. That's my opinion. Could I live with the numbers that exist? Yes, I could. I can live with them. There are a couple things though that we should look at. That's it, the matching grant issue. And see, just look over this all. Discussion of other items of rule changes again. Tonight, that's all I heard is charter, is the Ethics Commission and management or administrative discussion. I like what was presented. Kevin presented a bunch of ideas, and not all his, but he forward these ideas, things that people have been talking about, and I think we need to look at them. It doesn't have to be tonight, okay? We can take it up the next meeting, or we just have a working meeting, and maybe get a few things done quickly. What's your thoughts?
Is there anything specific on the list that you think we could walk through tonight?
To walk through, whatever you would like to walk through.
I'm looking at the grant match.
Yep.
It's
Just give me
specifically,
let me
so-
pull the list here, we got. some
Yeah,
list.
it's the last one on the list.
All right. I just made up my opinion known that in order to go forward with this fall election to discuss or to prove or disapprove a town manager, administrator, it's just too short of time. We can't get that done. We're not going to give the due diligence that we need to give to the subject matter. So having said that, next thing comes up, Board of Police Commission wanting to add provision that allow the police department to funding their own attorney. That this is going to this all came about. Let's not get over memory lane.
What subject are we on right now?
Huh?
Are we on the grant match or the police?
The police issue. The police issue. It isn't a police issue. It's just a matter of funding, adding funding to their budget for their own attorney. I haven't talked to anybody about this, but I do understand how this is all going to work. And the Board of Selectmen are really the authority. They're the appointing authority for town council, for the town of Plainfield and its departments. There's a lot to this. I find it hard to believe that we start, in my opinion, trying to fund other departments, giving them legal money in order to have their own attorney is not going to work. It's going to create a lot of negligence and liability issues for the town. You know, when there's a legal issue with the town now, we get served papers, first selectman gets served, immediately this stuff gets forwarded to the insurance company, it gets forwarded to the town attorney. There's a lot to this, and I think this all came up, maybe with the best of intentions, I don't doubt that, when this whole thing with finance director was in play, okay? My personal opinion is, I had previous Board of Selectmen had to provide outside counsel a couple of times through the years that I was in public life. And because it was a matter of, it was a right that we did this. Because some action was being taken against them, and the town had an obligation to defend them. Now, as you all know, I mean, if you do something wrong, you break the law, and they convict you of a crime, you own it. If not, then the town must provide restitution for that attorney that's been hired. I just think it's going to create.
I don't want to interrupt. Perhaps Chief could actually speak to this with give us more information.
Well, thank you, and we're probably going to agree to disagree on a lot of this topic, and I'll pass this down for everybody here so you can understand, because I think it's important to read and actually understand what is legality. Sorry, they were just thinking. And if you don't mind, I know it's going to be, is everybody got it? Yeah, I think it's going to be a few minutes, but I think it's important to understand the reason.
Where did we go?
All right, perfect. So I'm actually going to go through this. It's going to take a few minutes, and you're going to understand why. We're not back when this was first established or whatever it may be. Times have changed. Things are different. The police have accountability acts. It's completely different from when it was 15, 20 years ago, 25 years ago when I got into law enforcement. Nothing is the same anymore. This is extremely important. I think it's important to recognize that allowing the Board of Police Commissioners independent authority to retain legal counsel separate from the town council is not about creating conflict within the government. It's about preserving proper authority, independent oversight, and protection of the town's legal and ethical interests in the matters involving police administration. Police commissions deal highly specialized and sensitive issues, and And some of those issues are police discipline, internal investigations, officer rights, due process, collective bargaining matters, use of force incidents, liability exposure, employment disputes, chief oversight, and evaluations, state statute responsibilities under Connecticut law. And this is what's unique because Connecticut law under Chapter 104 gives police commissions significant independent statute authority over organization and maintenance of the police department. This is also cited in the charter in Chapter 4-1-L and Chapter 9-4-A of the current town charter. In many circumstances, town council simultaneously represent the first selectman, the board of selectmen, the financial department, human resources, and other boards. This clearly can create a conflict of interest with the Board of Police Commissioners, who is required to independently review, investigate, challenge, and make decisions involving town entities or officials. So important, allowing the Board of Police Commissioners to retain independent counsel when necessary helps ensure one, objective legal advice, protection of procedural fairness, independent oversight of police matters, reduce conflicts of interest, proper compliance with Connecticut labor and employment laws, protection of integrity of investigation and disciplinary proceedings, clear legal guidance to police government oversight, which is currently a major topic now, as we all know. Without this authority, the Board of Police Commissioners could be placed in a position where the same authority is effectively advising multiple sides of a dispute. If there's an accusation, whether it be made by somebody else regarding a different board, and that same attorney is representing the board, but yet has to also now represent the police commission, and it makes no sense. Public confidence and fairness and transparency is weakened. The commission's statutory responsibilities become more difficult to carry out objectively. So you look at it from a government perspective. Independent legal counsel authority strengthens accountability rather than weakening it. It helps to ensure the Board of Police Commissioners can fulfill its responsibilities and professional, legally, and independent when circumstances require. We're not talking for this, and I say we, the Board of Police Commissioners, that's who I report to. We're not talking about them having this astronomical amount of money. It has to be with a reason, and it's something that I put here as a possible change, which obviously we would have to look into, and something to say of the nature that the Board of Police Commissioners shall have the authority upon majority vote to retain independent legal counsel separate from town council whenever the commission determines such representation is necessary to carry out its statutory, disciplinary, investigatory, administrative, or oversight responsibilities, including matters involving conflicts of interest. And to me, that is the most important thing. Politics have no business being in this investigation, and this ensures that this does not happen. At the end of the day, the town council or the town attorney is established by the Board of Selectmen, okay? And then it is monitored and often referred to or gone to by the first selectman. At the end of the day, that body pays that employee, that attorney. And I'm not saying that that attorney is going to violate ethics-wise, but when you have that gray area, where are you going to lean? Okay, you're going to lean on the side that actually is going to be paying each and every time. I do believe it's important to establish or give the opportunity for the Board of Police Commissioners to have independent counsel as a result of that. Sorry, I know that was a lot.
So my question would be, would you, if the Board of Police Commission needed to invoke this part of the charter, would there be a vehicle set up? Can you all hear me without a mic?
I'm sorry.
No, that's okay. I don't need it. I'm
No,
loud.
it's not okay, we can't hear you.
You cannot?
No.
Okay. So, would there be some kind of a vehicle that would put guardrails on the cost to the taxpayers? So would you go to the Board of Finance with a request to say, without specifics, but we're needing to have an attorney to represent the Board of Police Commission. We're looking at a $25,000 retainer. We need approval for that. Is that something you're going to put in your budget?
Yeah, so that's a great question. So it's very important. You don't want to have an open pocketbook, right? Or just to use it whenever you want. And that's not the whole intent or purpose of this. You do have to have that, right? And just like anything, just for example, I don't know off the top of my head what the town council or what the first selectman puts aside for town council. Let's just use a round number. Let's just say it's $100,000. Obviously, if it goes over, unless it's an emergency situation, he's coming back for money and requesting it through the Board of Finance and the Board of Selectmen and Board of Finance. There has to be some independent. You have to show what it would cost to retain that council and what their hourly things, and it has to be set up similar to that of the Board of Selectmen, where they vote on who they're going to choose, and then that money that's set aside, and that's the item that we place in that line item. And if they do need more, whatever it may be, because there are different things that arise at different times, and things may happen. It may be a bad year, and they're going to need more, or you know what, it's not, and it's going back to the taxpayers of the general fund.
So you would add a specific line item for your general counsel, for the police department?
Correct.
I would like to answer everyone's questions. I don't mean to be the nerd kid on Friday night. I was the kid on Friday night, did all his homework. The weekend was good. Everything everyone said was correct, complete, and I have the guardrails. The Harmon in 22, Avon 2019-2024, town council is used for the police for an out-of-control FOIA request. Just absolute nightmare. Got all the details. To satisfy you and the chief, basically the Board of Finance, for the exact legal word you want is conflict trigger clause. And that is the state, is that by general, the police department uses town council for standard everyday stuff, but if there's a conflict trigger clause enables the Board of Finance and the Board of Selectmen to provision independent counsel by the board. So the town council would be exempt. They would work with the Board of Police Commission's appointed counsel. You would provide to the Board of Finance and to the Board of Selectmen your estimated costs and so forth for that specific conflict, not just in general. So you can't just say, the town has their own attorney, the police have their own. No, they don't. The town has their own attorney for specific needs. The police would have their own, and what would happen is that you would present to the Board of Finance, to the Board of Selectmen, and the police commissioners. The police commissioners would make the recommendation, the Board of Selectmen and Board of Finance would approve, and so forth. You would then engage the attorney, the police commission for that specific issue. Then, at the end of the year, the annual expenditures will be put on the town report, and if there is an irreconcilable conflict, the Board of Selectmen shall determine the town's unified position. So it satisfies the chief's position, puts in the guardrails, it's not out of control spending, only triggered when there's a significant conflict, and you then get your reporting of what did we spend, why, and we don't have to know the details of the conflict because that's the legal problem, but the taxpayers will know how much we truly did spend, and this has had history going back. So you're both correct. It's just the verbiage is there now. We now have guardrails. It satisfies everything. It's now, for me, it's a low end issue because you just add some words and everyone gets real happy.
Appreciate what you said. Appreciate your presentation. How many police departments in Connecticut? Are there police departments in Connecticut that have their own legal departments, their own legal? Now I'm not talking about my experience here. It would be we provide whatever there was an issue with police or anybody else. There were times the selectmen would have to provide over and above. We always have. Have you ever been denied any of that?
Yes, I have not. The Board of Police Commissioners has been denied of that. And also, what you also have to understand is that just like in any field, right, you have your labor attorneys, you have specialized attorneys, and then you have specialized attorneys that deal with public safety and law enforcement. And that is what's key here, that you're getting that expertise with that attorney, and not trying to find or through the current town's attorney or their office.
It's still true that the Connecticut General Statute recognizes the first selectman as the chief executive officer for contract negotiations and approval of contracts for board of selectmen. That's accurate, right?
So I don't know how accurate that is completely. I'm talking about different types of conflict of interest that may arise regarding this. I'm not saying every day.
You're talking, okay, I hear you. You're talking about a specific situation.
Yeah, and I think it's also important that, because there's no representation of the Board of Police Commissioners, just me who reports to them. So I think it's important to also listen to them, or at least the chair as a result, to also, so he can explain also additional views from outside of what we're already discussing with them.
That's fine, but the fact that Mario doing a presentation, I mean, he did a good job of presentation. I'm just one that's going to tell you right now, in my opinion, again, is that you have one situation that made this rise to the top, and unfortunately, it should have got resolved maybe a different way, but it ended how it ended. That's the only thing that brought this up, is that one incident.
No, but there's been a couple incidents where it has brought up outside of that one incident as well. And it's not just Plainfield and the Board of Police Commissioners of Plainfield. Other towns have done this.
Correct.
So, and Trave over here can attest to it. It has been, but this is not something new. It's becoming more light because it's easier now to research this. We're so set on, that this is what we put in here in 1990 or 1984 and not changing it. We have advanced tremendously, and I think it's important that we hold accountability to where it belongs and to make sure that we also have the integrity and that things are being done with that integrity. And this is a step in that direction. They elected 5 members of the Board of Police Commissioners. This town elected them to serve that office. And as you know, they have a lot of statute authority. And unfortunately, the charter does not give them the ability to have independent representation.
I do not deny that fact, that they have quite a amount of statutory authority. I know it exists. The question always came down to money, budgets always operated, always fall under the first selectman, board of selectmen budget. And which means the process is appropriation, going to finance, going to a meeting, going through the process. You're pointing out a situation that could exist, or has existed, and but you're not. My question is, can the police commission bring liability or do something that brings negligence upon the town?
No, without legal counsel, I'm sure it's going to.
No.
Well, nobody's ever denied legal counsel.
The Board of Police Commissioners put in a request for legal counsel on multiple occasions, and it fell. Multiple occasions.
Could I make a suggestion? I am not opposed to what the chief has here in this draft. But what I'd like to see added to this perhaps would be more intentioned language in terms of the guardrails that Trave has added
that's
to
fine.
that.
That's fine. Yeah.
And then we can review it at that point.
So in the process, does the process eliminate board of finance?
No.
No, it makes it integral.
At the end of the day, they still have to approve the overall budget.
And they don't give you what you want. Okay. I'm just saying, if they don't give you what you want, you still got town council available. But you're telling me a couple of circumstances. I get it. Okay, I get it.
We're referring to a couple.
It's always been a conflict.
Let's worry about also the future and what the future is going to entail, and to make sure that we have safeguards put in place. It's not just about a couple instances. It's about what is going to happen from the future here. That's why we're all here on this board, to make these adjustments that are going to benefit the town and the people as a whole from now until we're far gone as well, and then it will be readdressed to see where that process lies. I think to what Ms. Virginia's saying over here, If we have to add a little bit something different, I think you get to the fact is, yeah, you have to have some sort of budgetary line, and if for some reason they need more as a result of an incident, they will come to the proper board according to the charter to get those approvals. Whether it be a 5-member board to get approved first, then to the Board of Finance, that's something too. But at the end of the day, you're trying to eliminate politics out of what is transpiring here when they need independent counsel.
Can I give you feedback on that? Everything you said was correct. And here's the great part, is in 2020, the Police Accountability Act in Connecticut indemnifies the board, as long as you define what the board can do. The beauty is that coupled with the changes in the finance, just talking to a an attorney, it's what, $25,000 to $5,000 for a consult. And history has shown the worst case scenario was Avon spent $13,000 fighting a FOIA request when it was $13,000. Extremely, even right now we have a $10,000 limit. It will bump to pretty much $50,000 to $100,000. You get it. You get it right there. And the thing is this: having the trigger, the exact word of trigger conflict. Until that's implemented, until the Board of Police and the attorney says, we have a trigger here, nothing happens. It's business as usual. We don't spend $1 until there's a trigger event. So it's not even that worried. And even then, if you are having to spend $250,000 in legal just for the police, something's gone fundamentally wrong. Something has gone fundamentally wrong. Most of the stuff can be taken care of by either consulting other attorneys, spending a few, but it's not big money. That's why I don't, truthfully, adopting of this language, I'll approve it right now, of the proper language, because I don't see any conflict. I see plenty of safeguards. I understand the chief, this is excellent. That's why I said ditto. I added some great words to the language to it, but I see no issue. And in fact, the 1983 liability has been written out by municipal code to change that. So the point is, I see no problem with this. The proper language, send it off to legal for approval. I don't see an issue.
Appreciate it. I heard from the right side of the table, anything on the left side of the table concerning this issue. We're not going to act on this tonight, obviously, but we'll discuss it, in depth more. You're right, there's got to be some language added to it. And again, I need to look at it a little bit closer myself. I'm still of the opinion that when it comes to legal things, and I understand, I get it, Chief. If you got good legal counsel, it will keep you out of a bad problem too. Okay, I get it. I'm just, maybe I'm been around too long. The fact of the matter was, we've always provided counsel under the statute to indemnify any of our people that work with town Plainfield and provide counsel. Unless you willfully violate the law, it's a criminal and beyond the law. So, but I know how you zero that down to the language that you're looking for as far as the responsibility that you face. I get it. Anyone else? Okay, moving right along. Cleaning up, some items, 71B, civil preparedness. Civil preparedness, you all remember we're back in grade school in the 1960s, we used to have the atomic nuclear drills, we crawl underneath your desk in the school, in case Russia fired a missile. And Trave, you are right, the state of Connecticut has got to have somebody to identify as civil preparedness. Historically, all my years here, the power of the police department, the chief of police has authority, a great amount of authority over issues of civil preparedness, whether it be tornadoes or hurricanes or blizzards or natural disasters, whatever it might be. And we only had one person at one time, so we had somebody to name. But today, the way the fire departments, ambulance corps, ham radio, the police department, of course, always came together before an event like this. And as first selectman, even though the responsibility fell back on the first selectman's office, I was more than happy to delegate that over to professional people that were actually going to make sure the policies got carried through. Even though, you know, the first selectman's office had to pay for these things, okay, I get it. But there's so much to it today. So I don't know what you're looking to do with that issue, with civil finance. Can you make your town emergency people, the police department, the authority?
Yes.
Let's face it, they got the authority on the statute.
Correct.
They own the roads, they own everything when there's a problem, okay? So you got a problem with something like that, Mike? Mario? Oh, I don't have any problem. You don't want to answer for a civilian, you don't want to answer to a guy like me wearing a civil affairs hat.
Well, I do, you got a board of police commissioners, so they're civilian. I think the better people that are trained in this, obviously this right here actually says that you have to have members of the fire department or members from the fire district,
Right.
which is so important.
Right.
When there's a natural disaster coming or whatever, we have policies in place, and obviously we'll set up a joint coming in from that aspect too.
Right.
For me, I don't know enough about the statute as it relates to having this in the charter, so I can't judge on that aspect of that.
But I
Sounds like
say,
the person like
the
who wants
town
to
of
remove it.
Plainfield was always prepared for anything. When we knew something bad was coming down the pike, we all come together, and we had a central figure, and that usually was we.
Well, I think that's important because we obviously have emergency operations center as well. That's, that we have. But you got to remember we have phenomenal fire departments from all four of them that work together with the ambulance, EOC, with the fire marshal, and the police, obviously. I just don't know what we can do here because I don't know enough about why it's in here and why it's good to have it here. Yeah, I think you said it's part of state statute.
So if you got your pen and paper, Connecticut General Statute 28-7 requires shall. Every local organization for civil preparedness shall, mandatory, consist of an advisory council and emergency management director. Towns, fire companies, fire districts, emergency medical service, public health, or other agencies concerned with civil preparedness, police, I don't know, maybe even food delivery people, I don't know. Home rule presumption, Connecticut General Law 7-192, Home Rule Act. Charter cannot repeal or nullify general statutes. Civil preparedness must be in the charter. But the thing is this, because it hasn't really been done, in order to comply, and there are let's see here, Summers, Orange, Newton, Wyndham County, emergency history, 2011 tornado. To keep the board from going stagnant, you make them show up twice a year, review the policies. That's it. Just go, hey, you know what? July 3rd, let's practice, but beforehand, let's go over the rules. And let's make sure they go, and then December 23rd, go over the rules again. You get the general idea. And the idea was, if things go wrong, like a 2011 tornado in Wyndham County, Irene and Sandy and hurricanes, Quinnipiac Valley flooding, QBCC dispatch, they have somebody, because state troopers are going to show up, a bunch of people with badges and jarhead haircuts, and there's going to be a whole bunch of letters right after their name. They're going to ask questions. You need to answer. And so if you just say, listen, the head of that body is this person, here are the rules, here you go, we met twice a year. Of course, we're not in a hurricane every other hour, but when it does happen, which there are history, you are ready to go.
So, Kat, let me ask you this question. Would what you just discussed be added to this chapter 7B? With that specific information?
Yes. In fact, I've actually told what removes and what can be in there. And the thing is that it was so rigid before. Yeah, the charter was so rigid before that it's very hard to comply. Now you're kind of open because the law wasn't that rigid. Our own charter made it rigid. The state didn't. You could have 4 or 5 people, and it's not that the public are volunteering to make it uneven. These are professionals. This is their job.
Right.
Have them show up. You can make it 2, 3, 5, 10 people, doesn't matter.
My whole thing coming into tonight's meeting was that we had to incorporate the town's emergency management system into this job. So it defines who the authorities are.
Yeah.
Okay, but there's gotta be a head authority, correct, okay? But that could be, things can be delegated out too.
Correct.
Okay.
Correct. The
So-
selectman has the authority to appoint vacancies and who's at the top of the chain there. Who is the person that the feds call when things go wrong?
And
And
who else do they put on there? You have 4 fire districts.
Yep.
And there must be
EMS, police.
EMS rep and.
Yep. Whoever the selectman or board of selectmen wishes to appoint. So if EMS fills this room and half a dozen people show up, fine, whatever. Peanut, we'll find out who wants to be on the board or whatever the category is.
So would like somebody, a representative from the highway department?
Yeah.
I think we would have to hear from all the professionals, right?
Right.
We can't sit here as a board, including myself, and start making those decisions
Correct.
on this.
Correct.
That has to be brought to the attention. If this is what we want to do on the charter commission, if we're going to focus on that, it's important that we bring the fire chiefs here and request them, and as well as the fire marshal and all parties. You got to remember, if we have a natural disaster or whatever it may be, we're not getting help from the outside, because that means they're dealing with their own too. And we as the professionals here are going to develop a unified command, and we're going to go from there. So it's important that we get their opinion. If that's something the board is going to address, that we should not be making those decisions on what this council actually does, and what type of policy they can put in place. Because at the end of the day, this board is not going to meet enough to develop policy on what's going to dictate what's going on out there if we have something that happens tomorrow. That's not going to happen. So either we're going to focus on this, and if we are, if that's something the board wants to, I think we do a good job right now with all the professionals that are involved. And you got to remember, when we talk about unified command, we're not talking about just the fire departments. Highway department plays a huge role in that as well. So there's a lot of departments that we rely on outside of just police and fire and medical.
So let me ask you this question. Should we not even address that and leave it as it stands, or should we suggest to
I'm not
the
sure if
board of
someone's looking for
selectmen?
definitions of what it
Right.
actually
Or
got
should
there.
the board of
But I can
selectmen
tell
be-
you that just the idea of having, in the old days, a civil prepared person doesn't cut.
No,
Not
right.
this day and age,
No.
it just doesn't. So you've got, we got a lot of professional people in this town, and you're right, chief. Every department, even WPCA comes into play when you talk about flood and sewer stations and all that stuff. So we have that flow chart there. We just got to figure out.
You got to remember that the fire marshal's also, the emergency
Right.
operations.
Right.
So my thought is do we send this, rather than this commission deal with this, we send it back to the Board of Selectmen and say, set up your advisory council?
For me, like, just, and again, this is my opinion, I don't believe that this is something that we need to focus on at this time.
I agree.
It's just my opinion.
Okay.
I don't believe we need to focus on this. We have some great professionals out there, and we are going to get it done.
Yeah, the only problem I ever had was that our charter was so rigid, it required a minimum of 4 years and 7 members, beginning in 1985. Now, the new one is, whatever you guys want the board to be, just let the 3 people show up, you're the board. Here, you figure out the policies, you guys can work on it, it makes it a lot cleaner, simpler. Right now, I don't think I've ever heard of us ever having a civil preparedness.
We did.
So the board has gone stagnant in violation of our charter.
Right.
This at least combines.
It has not existed for
Yeah,
a long time.
yeah,
Okay, and probably we're talking 35, 40 years.
yeah.
Okay, so, all right, we'll come back to that. Let's move on just real quick here. The town treasurer's finance officer, apparently it's a position that's appointed, actual hiring is actually supposed to be done by the board of selectmen. Is that accurate? And that's how this all came about. It was the first selectman did the hiring, that's kind of what happened.
Yeah, basically what happened is there was a situation with our recent finance director where she started prior to the board of selectmen approving the hire.
So, I appreciate it, Mr. Selectman. I don't want to reinvent the wheel here. Yes, some things happen. That whole incident, things happen, okay? And we don't want to happen again. We don't want it to happen again, okay, that's all. And, because we can't reverse it now, okay? What we could talk about, you know, who's the appointing authority here. That's, you gotta remember, that was a charter change to do away with the town treasurer and hire a town finance director. That was, the people bought into that. That's why, people start talking about salaries of a manager or administrator. When we did away with the town treasurer, we had to hire someone that was qualified to be a finance director. That person made us millions of dollars over the years. That position, just by the way they handle the town's money. Okay, we used to go to local banks and play all these little games. Today, I think our money is still put in the state treasury investment fund, drawing the most interest you can possibly draw. We didn't report a lot of interest back in the old days. Today, we do. Today, we're doing things. We're moving things around. So, yes, sometimes you gotta spend money, but you know what? It pays for itself, okay? So, my finance director was decided on by the people who wanted the finance director, okay? I don't think the ballot question or anybody said, I know it did say specific to service the town and the Board of Finance and as advisor to these people, okay? Gotta answer to somebody. And, in the charter, it says Board of Selectmen.
Can I just read the section so we're all on the same page? 8-4 of the town charter. There shall be a town treasurer/financial officer who will be appointed by the Board of Selectmen. The town treasurer/financial officer shall serve as a financial advisor to the Board of Selectmen. First Selectmen, Board of Finance, Board of Ed, and all other town departments, offices, and agencies. She shall represent the town in all financial matters and shall perform any other duties prescribed by the Board of Selectmen. So I guess the first selectman is not here, so I don't know what there wants to be cleared up. I'm assuming, and it's probably wrong for me to do, is that he has the authority, or that position has the authority to hire anyone outside of members of the Board of Ed or the police department, except for the finance director, who should be appointed by the board. If I'm mistaken, that's probably what the question is.
The reason why the Board of Selectmen was put there is you didn't have one person making the choice, okay?
So what do they want cleared up?
So I'm just going to speak on my own personal opinion. I don't know what Kevin wants to say. What I know is that I want to make sure that it's clearly defined that a finance director cannot start and there can't be a deal made with just the first selectman prior to it coming before the Board of Selectmen, all three, to review and decide on that. Now, after that, there's a start date for that employee. That's fine after it's made. But what happened is that we made a decision on employing this finance director, but she had already started prior to that meeting. So that's where
you got to make the point that has nothing to do with the finance director.
How are we going to fix that now?
Nothing to do with her.
It was wrong. It was wrong. It's clear it was wrong. So it was wrong. All right. So what do we do? Take it to the ethics commission? It happened. It shouldn't have happened. But you got to look at the charter once in a while. But that was a deliberate act because I can remember Lee Holland, the Board of Finance, didn't want just one person, because you don't know who gets elected if they have financial background so they put the Board of Selectmen in there and make it so that it was obvious that there was more than one set of eyes. And I'll tell you, the chairman of the Board of Finance was there and the business manager from the school was there. So there were actually 5 people that were involved in the first hire. That was Mr. Gillis, who's now deceased.
So what I'm saying is maybe you can ask for Kevin for his clarification of what he wants to see. I'm just saying, as a current city selectman, I want to make sure that the process stays the way it's supposed to, which is the Board of Selectmen will decide on any future finance director.
Can I ask you a question real quick?
I think it's here.
Yeah, can I ask you a question? Just because it is here, it's pretty clear. I guess, what would you want changed, if anything? Because it is clear here.
It's clear. So, I don't know
whether or not it's following.
You guys have any recommendations as far as could it be broken up or described clear?
Well, that's what's involved. There's some what it says. I don't think there's anything broke about it. It's not broke. It's just broke. So, in the future, hopefully, you don't have to be that. Yeah. It's not, I don't want to, and that's what I do about it. I want to lay down.
So I think without having the first selectman here, what he wants recommended change on it, I think it's a moot point to even add anything on it unless somebody else.
Okay, any request for additional funding over $100,000 requires a townwide referendum. Anything under that amount requires a town meeting only. Virginia, you're a financial person. What's your thoughts on these numbers? I know we had a little discussion.
I have concerns, frankly. I think that when you start raising limits like that, you are removing, and I hate the term, but you're removing guardrails. Those figures and those ceilings are set in place to make sure that the taxpayers' dollars are spent appropriately and correctly with as much oversight as possible. I don't think they need to be changed. I know they're low, but I think it's appropriate. That's my personal opinion.
It's fair enough. I mean, it's fair enough. I don't. My opinion is I'm all right with what you're talking. It's not Washington D.C. where they're always raising the spending cap.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? Next thing you know, we got big numbers. So I don't know. The problem is it takes a little bit of work to pass projects and referendums and town meetings. You got to get people. It's part of the system. It's what our government is, and that's the old form of government. That's what it is. So unless you change the whole system, you're going to have lesser people making those decisions. You know.
Sweet, just real quick, and I hate to be the one that's talking a lot, and I apologize, but and I understand what Ms. Virginia's saying, but you also got to remember is where is that dollar today versus where is that dollar in 1980?
I have a feeling Trave knows.
So, you know, that for me is one question. But let's just say for one reason, you know what, you want to leave the numbers the same, but change the process. Instead of having to go to the referendum, get people to the town meeting, right? Why have to go through all that, or just as the same thing that we had just with this past budget of having 600, again, I don't know the exact number, 600 people that came out when we could have had the 600 people here at a meeting. I'm just saying, maybe change it. If you don't want to change the numbers, look at the process rather than go into a full-blown referendum. So $52,000, you have to go get approval from the Board of Selectmen, get approval from the Board of Finance, only to bring it to a town meeting, and then at the town meeting, you actually got to get approval, then to bring it to the referendum. For something that we're using numbers from the 80s. I'm just saying the process of maybe eliminating part of that process, still allowing the people, the governing body, the people, at the town meeting to approve up to that certain amount. It's just for me, I'm looking at it, and again, if we want to leave it, just allow them to do it at the town meeting.
Well, the only problem I have with that is, what we discussed before, is people who work second shift, or for some reason cannot make it, because they're always at like 7 o'clock at night, is why we prefer a referendum. Because now you're disenfranchising a certain number of people.
I can tell you guys, it's disheartening when you go through the process, then you got to go to referendum, and nobody shows up.
Yes. Today we have 6 people here.
I've seen $1 million project for sewer around Moosa Pond, and we're on the phone on Route 84 making phone calls, get people out to vote for $1 million grant to put sewer around Moosa Pond, and if we didn't get the okay, we couldn't have sewer around Moosa Pond.
On a grant.
And that's crazy. People got to take some responsibility. So I like your approach. Why don't we talk about that again? Okay, at one of our meetings. Okay.
Yeah, I'm for it. Absolutely.
I can give you all the numbers if you want.
I'm sure you can, but why don't you hold up? Because, no, I'm not knocking Trave. I'm not knocking.
I just think we ought to look at exactly the process. There's still a lot of people waste their opinion.
I'm good, but I'm usually in bed about 3 minutes from now. No, that's not that bad. But anyway, okay, we can talk a bit more about that. It's something about rules or especially being done in a timely fashion. There's an age-old problem here, but it's an age-old problem at the school. I don't think it's an age-old problem in the government. I think the problem is the school just has a problem. I think they did better this year, didn't they?
Yes.
They did better this year. And that's been an age-old problem, and look at, let's not get, I don't want to put them down. I'm just saying, people get paid good money to do a job, do the job. If you can't do the job, get rid of them, get somebody that can do the job. That's what it comes down to, okay? And if you've got somebody who can get the job done, there's no reason why that order isn't ready third week of November. I think you guys moved it. Did you have it to January now? Something like that?
February.
I think it's been moved, but
February.
the fact of the matter is, there's no reason why in today's age, your books can't be up to date at a reasonable time. So, that's opinion, that's a strong opinion, because I had to deal with it for a long time. Constrain the travel reimbursement, I agree.
I don't think that needs to be discussed
Yeah, I agree.
here.
I agree. Real estate sales should be a referendum regardless.
Yep.
You all right with that?
No fight with that.
Okay, we'll do that one. Okay, possible change in terms of board finance.
Am I missing something real quick? So if it's a different real estate sale, who can approve it right now?
It has to go to
Tell me.
At a town meeting or at?
Town meeting.
Okay. So you're changing it to a referendum for
Well,
the sale.
if you'll remember this past year, or the past couple of years, we've had situations where public property has been posted for sale with no prior notice to
Correct.
anyone, basically.
Right, but he wasn't able to sell
That's
it,
got
right?
to have a process.
That has to have,
That's a process, yeah. You can't just do that. You just can't. It's not yours to do that with.
So
There's gotta be some
do we look at
authority.
instituting a charter process for anything to do with leasing or real estate sales of town property?
Yep.
And with no, yeah. I mean,
Okay, well, you're saying, I understand what you're saying. Does that have to be a charter issue?
I would say
It should
yes.
be a charter issue?
I would say yes, because this is
Under
property owned by
the
the taxpayer.
listing of what requires a referendum.
Yeah.
So that's nothing more than another letter. And you're gonna have nothing to do with it.
Yeah.
Correct. We can talk more about that, that's not a big deal. I don't know what the issue is here with the changing the length of terms of Board of Finance and Board of Education down to 4-year terms. 6-year terms are a lot, but I don't know if we're gonna, what's your thoughts, guys?
I think we got a board.
BOE.
I like the 6-year.
You like the 6 years?
I like the 6-year.
I think that's for you all, how do you feel about being on for 6 years rather than 4? I think it's hard right now to get people to join boards as it is. I think that's probably why maybe it should be, because 6 years is a big commitment.
It can work,
I don't know if
it
I
can
want
work
to-
both ways. You could end up in a bad situation.
This is temporary.
You could have a good situation. It comes down to how the system gets appointed, who's gonna be on the ballot, I guess. And, I think leave it up to them to qualify whoever they're gonna run, you know?
Yeah.
Update the grant match to 25D.
That, we just talked about that, right, with your Musa Pond? Okay. So obviously that needs to be addressed. Chad, just real quick, they tried changing all these numbers in 2023. We don't have to talk about it all today. I'm just curious as to, I guess, what happened along the way. I know it failed, and I know it failed, I believe, drastically.
Yes.
So I just,
The numbers were too high.
I think you gotta look at that too when we start changing numbers too. So just as a thing that, I know it wasn't close where it was a toss-up or, could have went either way. I'm pretty sure that when the numbers were changed, it was overwhelmingly rejected. So I think that's something that we really should.
I think with all the stuff that we gotta get going back to things that failed twice already, we should probably not entertain at this time, maybe another charter revision. But we have a very small amount of time, we got a lot done, so I would say, if it failed twice, there's no sense going back to that right now.
And just, okay, we've done 12 today.
Just I have one more thing, sweetie.
All right, good.
All right, so
The only guy in Plainfield calls me sweet.
So-
The only guy gets it.
here's the thing, and again, we can always agree to disagree. The bottom line is we did hear for months on end about the the structure of the town and the charter. And we talked about it, and we heard again, we have to at least, I know there may not be enough time, we have to at least look into it. I think we do disservice by this board if we do not look into it. I put something together with some research just to look on the structure, whether we change it or not. I think it's important for all of us to put together on the town administrator, the town manager, and the first selectman role. And I think the key question is, should the town of Plainfield charter be amended to create either a town administrator, a town manager, or continue with the same form of government? And for me, I just put a checks and balances, a flow chart. I just asked to be handed out, and we don't have to go through it right now. I just think it's important that at least by the next meeting, we have maybe a better understanding of the roles of the administrator and a town manager as first selectman. Not saying that we're going to be able to do this, but I think it's important based on what we've heard over the months and what we've heard here, just to at least.
I agree. I just want to make sure you understand it. In my opinion, it's just my opinion.
Yeah, no, I know.
This board, the board will make all the calls, okay? Sometimes I get a little excited, but the fact of the matter is, you're right, okay? It's there, it's time to talk about it.
Yeah.
And I don't know what time frame's gonna work, but I don't think it's talking about it. Do you want to deal with this tonight?
No, I'm good.
Take it home?
Oh, yep.
Well, see, we'll fix it right. I'll go the other way too.
Should be fine. I probably should do that. It would have been better. Oh, perfect.
I got it. Yeah,
So we have really no paperwork to go over.
Now, we're going to adjourn the meeting, guys. We're going to talk for 1 second, okay? The motion to adjourn the meeting.
Is this citizen participation?
Still citizens.
Yeah.
Oh, I'm sorry. I'm sorry. Among all my agendas here. Okay, public participation. Is anyone here want to speak?
All right, Kevin, that just makes some notes while we're talking. I would like to see the suggested appropriations that Trave has for the other towns, different appropriations that you can make that available. And to Tom's statement about the finance director, all positions have to be hired by the first selectman. You can't do it as a board of selectmen. That constitutes a meeting. You can't do that. And he usually hires with another person there, or the finance director, if he's hiring a position. The board of selectmen does have to make the appointment, just like they have to make an appointment by ordinance of the assistant clerk. And if there's a new, we saw that with Barbie, we had to appoint a new town clerk. So it's things like that. That's just an appointment. They still have to be hired by the first selectman. So I want to clarify that. The civil preparedness, I think it sounds like it just needs a name change and some clarification of who's on it and make it. And I think, board of selectmen should bring that to you. If you make that known to them. And I'd like to get a copy of the chief's document on what you spoke on, the attorney, if I could get that document. And as far as the unappropriated budget items, this was brought up before, and I was thinking that 49, they wanted to make it 50,000 before you go to the Board of Finance. And I'm thinking 49,000 adds up quick. That if the Board of Selectmen can just approve 49,000, that adds up fast. So I'm kind of like where it is. If you think about raising it, not too much, because it adds up fast. I'd like to see the checks and balances. And as far as the BOF, going to 4 years, I have noticed watching these two boards that it usually takes about 3 to 4 years for a new member to actually start getting it. So I don't know if that's good to, go to I think it's good to stick with 6 years. I know. And if you look at the other governments, you said just the 3. I wish you'd look at all types of governments. and get information for us for any type of government, not just the administrator, manager, or selectman. Like I said, representative, town meeting, mayoral, whatever. Any form of government that exists around here, we should check into. Thank you.
Thank you. Anyone else? Again, thank you for coming tonight. All in favor? Motion made and seconded. All in favor, motion say aye. Aye. Opposed? Sorry, but hey guys, we gotta go to the boss here, first selectman. We gotta have somebody get some money to pay us to record a second. Somebody's gotta take minutes and do the agenda. I don't mind helping out, but I'm not a guy that's gonna sit at a computer and that's not gonna happen. And I don't know why we don't have somebody. I'll talk to the selectman and see if he can provide somebody. We're gonna have somebody.
Somebody for what?
You're estimated.
And they should be paid there, and so we've got something that we can hand in that we can interpret, you know?
Wait a minute.
You want me to answer for that? The charter revision is an ad hoc.
No, I'm not saying that.
He's not listening. The charter revision is ad hoc. There is no budget for a recording secretary for this. Just saying. If you look in your budget, there's no budget for it.
Really not that much money.
Well, Lynn is the
She's
secretary,
the
right?
secretary. She does
She
it.
does a fantastic job.
It's fine, but
But there is no money for it.
There's no money for it.
There's only a few boards that they have money for.
That's ridiculous.
Well, you know,
There's some places-
that's
Just
the
don't
way.
argue.